We're going live. All right, welcome Internet. I'm Michael Slezak from TVLine.com. I'm here with Jessica Meuse. I was hoping you'd be here a couple weeks from now, but you are here today, and so we are going to make the most of it.
It's all good.
Talk about your idol journey and really geek out.
Okay.
One thing I want to know, we saw you coming into auditions. I loved your quote about you're going to die either a broke musician or a successful one.
Mm-hmm.
But what did your life look like in terms of pre-idol days? When you're in Slap Out, were you touring a lot? Were you playing mostly locally? Were you making a living on music alone or barely making a living? What did your life look like?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was making a living.
Okay.
It's hard to get money doing that because a lot of people don't consider it a real job.
Right.
And it's really hard. And there are lots of times where I was like, man, why am I doing this? But I couldn't stop because I loved it too much. But I run an LLC, and I play gigs, I book gigs, I do graphic design, and maintain all my social media, and I was going to school.
You were.
Yeah. And my grades were like, because I started playing not just regionally, but I would drive like off to Texas. I'd have to miss like 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
I mean, I told my teachers, and some of them understood. I had a couple that got it, and I had a couple that were just like, oh, that, whatever, and like they would give me a bad grade.
How hard was it? Did you feel like, were there ever moments where you thought, am I doing the right thing? Can I do this anymore? Or is it just not even?
Well, when it's something you love that much, it's not really about right and wrong, because it's going to be right if you really love it that much. Like, otherwise, I don't believe I would have the drive that I do.
So you decide to audition for American Idol, and you decide to audition with one of your own songs.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone advise you, like, maybe you shouldn't do one of your own songs for the audition? Or?
No, I was just like, oh, this is what I'm doing. And it was like last minute. I was like, I guess I'll play Blue Eyed Light. Yeah, I'll play Blue Eyed Light.
How did it feel to get a good response, not only to your singing, but to something that you wrote yourself?
Well, I was happy, but I had no idea where it was going to take me. I'm a really go-with-the-flow type of person.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went with it, and I was like, oh, wow, people of this status really liked it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to take it in, to like Harry and them. They're like, oh, so amazing. It was all positive, so it felt great to hear that about my own song.
Under the heading of not knowing where something's going to take you, it took you to eventually Single Ladies in
Oh my
Hollywood.
gosh! Some people are mean to me because I don't know the lyrics, but guess what? I know them now. But
Up in the Club, Just Woke Up.
just broke up.
Just broke up.
Yeah. See, I told you I know them.
I should know that. I'm now ashamed that I got the lyric wrong. Live on the internet. Were you, as you're watching those rounds at home, I'm assuming you're watching those rounds at home, were you thinking like, oh my God, they're trying to give me the bitch edit? Or did you think like, how did this happen? How are they focusing this much on this? What were your thoughts?
Well, there was a lot of footage of that woman going crazy that they had to edit through.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, but anyone else would have probably slapped her.
It was that bad.
She just kept going. Like, I would try to talk, and I'm really not a mean person. Like, I swear. I love everybody. I try to be sweet to everyone. But she was all in my face, and it was really, she was just so rude.
Yeah.
She really was, like, exactly what I said. And when you have someone that negative, and it was like, I didn't get your daughter cut. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
oh well. And I was like, you just got to walk away from that negative energy.
As you're in the experience, you know, you shifted groups in Hollywood Week. Was there a thought in your head like, am I going to get cut now because I can't find a group to work with and I don't know the lyrics to Single Ladies? How scary was that?
I thought I was going to get cut. I really did. I was like, son of a... But you got to understand, like, they crammed so many hours of sleeplessness and frustration and lots of conflict between everyone, not just me, into like a 1-hour show or 2-hour show, whatever it was. And that must have been really hard. So that must be why they gave me like the bitch edit and everything like that. Because there's only so much you can do with so much footage. Yeah.
You get back, you survive that, you do another original song.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like to see, you know, to be struggling all those years and doing little gigs and then get your second self-penned song on national television, again to good reviews?
Taking advantage of the situation. Because, I mean, I'm a singer-songwriter. I want to get known for my stuff and for who I am. And, like, if people don't like me for who I am, then that's a lot better than them loving me for me faking to be someone else.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you want people to experience what your music is going to sound like in the real world when this show is done. That seems to be, or should be, the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be like, this is how I sound. This is Jess. I don't want to be, like, I I like cover songs, and I have to do a lot of them in 3 and 4 hour sets.
Yeah.
But if it were up to me, I would have done an original every week.
Interesting. So you get past Hollywood Week. You have to survive the Bizarre Rush Week.
That was weird.
Sit in a room, feel bad for
a long time.
Feel bad for the people who are left there who don't even get to sing. You seem very unreality TV in that way. Were there moments where you were like, what are you people doing to us? Did you want to
I'm just like, this is the Hunger Games. This is sick. That's pretty much what I thought.
Yeah. You choose to do Crow and the Butterfly for Top 13 Week, which I loved. Kind of an obscure song for a reality singing competition, probably not really an idol song, so to speak. Was there any worry about picking that one? Did people behind the scenes say, like, I don't know about this particular song? Was there any resistance to it?
I don't worry about it. I seriously was like, I want to do this one. Like, that's how I am. I'm like, this is the one I want to do. So, yeah, I'm doing it.
Folks backstage, was there resistance, or did they just figure with you do what you were doing what you want?
At first, the first couple weeks, there really wasn't resistance. Okay. But then as it got less and less people, they were more like, we don't know about that. And you should look at this song. Look at this song. And they try to kind of sway you. And, yeah, your lists get more limiting, too.
The song choices were so much better earlier in the season for across the board for contestants. And I started wondering, were you guys getting shorter and shorter lists? They
were less and less to choose from, and then this last week, we were all going to do originals because we're all songwriters. And then, like, I think we have a rehearsal on Monday, Tuesday, dress rehearsal Wednesday. Sunday, they come up and say we scrapped all the originals and you had to pick another song. So I ended up picking So What by Pink because at least I could apply the lyrics to my life.
Right.
But it was like right then and there I had to choose.
That is possibly the worst development on the entire season of Idol. How cool would it have been if all 4 of you had done originals?
It would have been so much fun, especially if those were the ones we had recorded for iTunes.
Yeah. And I tend to disagree. I think when they say, sometimes producers will say people want songs that they know, but I tend to think the Idol audience has a pretty open mind to new material, to stuff they haven't heard before, to discovering new stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a search for a new artist.
Yeah.
And an artist holds their own, in my opinion. Like, I believe that, you know, I worked my ass off before Idol. I'm going to work my ass off after Idol. I'm just going to use Idol for what it is. It's a platform. So, I mean, artists can hold their own. And I believe, you know, I have a lot of respect for singer-songwriters. And they play instruments. Like, they do everything because it's hard. Mm-hmm. So I think that there needs to be more of that. And I think they need to show that. Yeah. Instead of, like, here's a bunch of cover songs. But, I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Especially, though, on a week where everybody actually can write and wanted to write and wanted to show their own stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to the chronological stuff. White Flag, you get out top 12 week. That was probably one of the harsher weeks of criticism.
I had a sinus infection that whole time.
Did you?
I felt like crap. I was so sick that day.
How did you feel about the performance? I actually kind of really liked that week. You did too.
Fun. I had fun. I had a great time.
Did you tend to watch your stuff back?
One time. I watch it once.
Really?
That's it.
not multiple times?
Nope.
Okay.
Watch it one time.
And did you like how it sounded, White Flag?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's perfect. You have good performances, you have bad performances, but the whole thing to me is music's about soul. It's about what you stand for and what you do that's beyond your music.
Yeah. I felt the emotion in that one, too, towards the end. I mean, there was a little criticism of, like, Harry didn't think it was on pitch, which I didn't hear.
It's whatever.
You moved on, I can tell.
It's whatever. I don't care.
For Sound of Silence, you had a band malfunction.
Oh my gosh, I was like, what?
What happened?
They had a string track pre-recorded because they were going to have, I think, a quartet come in, and then they couldn't do it because I think it was a budget issue or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, the string track came in, I think it was like a bar too early, if I'm remembering right. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, Jesus. And I had to fix it, and I was like...
How quickly do you realize something is immediately?
I was just like, oh.
Do you figure, I'm just going to keep playing and hope the band catches up with me, or what did you try to do? Because it was really hard to tell exactly
I sort of compensated a tiny bit. And then I don't really know how it got back in sync, but I've had that happen to me a couple times. I had a band several years ago, and whenever there's a mistake, you just have to kind of fix it.
Yeah.
Then and there. Just go with it. Be like, nothing happened.
Right. Your alternative is to stop like a deer in the headlights.
I'll never stop. So because that to me is embarrassing. I would, unless it's completely just screwed up, I'm probably not going to stop.
Gotcha. Pumped Up Kicks was your next performance. Generated a lot of debate on the judge, like a lot of debate.
Yeah.
J-Lo and Harry almost had an argument about it.
That's why I chose it. And because it's about the thoughts of a disturbed person. I think it was about like a shooting and everything. But I did my research before I sang that song, and I wanted to do it because that kind of violence is an issue in the society that we're in. Yeah. And I think people need to realize what they're listening to. So I sang that in my own style and everything to be like, listen to the lyrics. Because I'm all about lyrics. But also to be like, violence is an issue in this society, and people need to be aware of that. Like, people get all upset that I sang that song, but it's like they missed the point. Like, you gotta listen. It's a juxtaposition is the term. Yes. They put it with a misleading melody, and it's like this really, really sinister song. And I think the Foster the People, when they wrote that, like, that's just a genius way to portray that. And
there's a little bit of glee to the lyrics because it is from a disturbed point of view. It's not like you're condoning it, but to sing it with a little bit of a sly smile and a little bit of humor, there is that element to it.
Yeah, it's sick and twisted. That's the way it is.
It seems like, and J-Lo came to your defense that week. That might have been the last week that she seemed to dig you on the show, but...
Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
Did you feel like, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So top nine week you did Rhiannon. Was there any fear, to me, when I heard you were doing Rhiannon, I was like, you got compared to Stevie Nicks on your audition. Should you do Stevie Nicks at all, or should you stay away from her?
It was kind of pushed at me.
It was.
So I did it anyway. Because there's only so much control you really have. And, I mean, I kind of fell in love with the song, honestly. Like, I'm going to probably sing it in my set.
Okay. So you get through that week with, you're now on tour, you know you've made the tour. At what point do you start thinking about winning at that point and strategizing about how to win? Like, how much were you starting to think about winning?
Winning would be convenient, but it's not necessarily the right thing for everybody. Because sometimes you can be even more successful when you don't win, or you can just let go and stop caring and you just kind of. But I'm a fighter, and I will do whatever I need to do to get where I want to be. And I'm really spiritual and faithful, and I believe that, you know, with the drive that I have, it's been given to me for a reason. And I know that I will get where I want to be because I will get there. Let's just say I'm gonna get there.
Right. I mean, I think with that post-idol journey, like, talent is crucial, but I think hard work is probably as crucial, if not maybe a little bit more, because it's brutal out there.
Yeah, it's all about work, really. So.
You get to top 8 week and you do an original song, Blue Eyed Live. They had you go first. I don't know why you didn't close the show. And there were that was the first week I think we really started to hear from the judges about movement to the music. You were kind of on a pedestal, so I don't know where you were expected to go.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, the pedestal thing, I had heels on that looked a lot better than those ugly shoes I had. But I got all messed up when I was on that thing in heels. I can't walk in heels. I suck at heels. I hate high heels. They're horrible. Who made them? It must have been a man. I hate that guy. But I had to change shoes last minute because it made me dizzy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so, it messed with my head so bad. And yeah, so I ended up in little ugly shoes. And I was like, oh well, because at that point I was like, I'm not going to fall off this thing.
It was one of my favorite performances of the season. I didn't really care that you didn't move around, and I wish that you'd gotten a little more credit for writing a song that, like, seriously kicked ass.
Thank you.
And killing it vocally. Did you want to just be like, but did you like the song? Did you ever want to just, like, yell that back? Or
You know, I just focus on my fans. I really do. Like, they can say what they want, but I realize that it's a reality show, and it is the Hunger Games. Like, there's one person picked off a week.
Yeah.
And it's really messed up. But I mean, I just know that I want to sing, and I want to make music, and I want to, like, it's my heart and soul, and that's what I try to do every time I go up there. It's like, that's all I care about is my music, my fans.
How did you feel about it charting on iTunes the next morning?
I freaked out.
Did you?
I could have died happy. Even though I don't want to die, but if I did die, I'd be like, my song charted.
Knowing that your song was your song,
Mm-hmm.
that people responded to it in that way. Do you know how high it went?
No.
Did you follow it? Okay.
Like, I looked a couple times, but we were so pushed and pulled everywhere. We had so much to do for the next week.
Right. Still pretty cool.
That was amazing. Like, oh
did someone have to tell you it charted, or did you like peek the next morning just to?
I looked.
You did.
Yeah.
I would be looking every 5 minutes. I would be refreshing that iTunes.
I would have, but I
If you
think
had time.
that's before they gave us a little iPad so we could check stuff faster.
Right. So you get to top 8 redo. It's 80s week.
Mm-hmm.
David Cook comes in. I felt like I wished that they brought in David Cook every week, or other
I
people
love
like
David
David Cook. He really seems to,
Him and Jason, they were great.
like, they paid attention to
Mm-hmm.
you guys. They may have like been watching beforehand and really thought about trying to help you. Was it exciting to get that kind of, feedback, and to get that kind of mentoring, have somebody who really seemed to give you specific stuff and talk to you about what you were doing?
Well, totally, because, David and Jason both, they're singer-songwriters, guitarists. Like, they do the same thing. And I actually saw David at this venue in Birmingham, Workplay, that I practically live at.
Okay.
And I actually watched his show and everything, and I loved it. Like, I was like, he must have started in bars. Because he's so talkative with the audience. He really relates to them. And, like, they're both really awesome. And they do listen, and they watch, and they pinpoint things that a typical person wouldn't notice.
Do you feel like there was that level of mentoring through the season, or did those two really bring it in a different way? Because nobody who's come in this season who's been eliminated has really been able to, not to brag on Randy, but nobody's really, I'm like, what did he help you with? And everyone's like, well, he was there. He came in on Mondays, but nobody's been able to say, like, he kind of checked out a little bit, or what?
I liked Chris Daughtry and Adam Lambert.
Yeah.
And then Dave and Jason.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What made you pick Call Me that week? Because I thought that was your strangest song choice of the season. It just didn't seem like
I
you.
wasn't sure what else to pick because, like I said, we had a very limited list, and I had to learn, like, anything that I had chosen.
Okay.
But I was like, that was the most that I could probably rock up,
So it was a short list.
Yeah, it was that or, like, Walking on Sunshine.
Oh, no.
I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I did Blondie, because at least Blondie's awesome.
Yeah, Walking on Sunshine, you can't, it's just Walking on Sunshine. It is what it is. Did you guys ever fight to go off list? Did you ever say, like, here's other 80s songs that are really cool that would fit me? Or was that discouraged? Or?
There were a couple times I tried different songs that weren't on the list, but they usually didn't clear or something, and it was just a pain in the ass. Really.
Okay. Top 6 week, after you ended up in the bottom 2 for the first time in top 7 week, I felt like top 6 week, you seemed to be almost revitalized, like something in you clicked, and you started to fight more. Is that a correct assessment, or?
I was fighting the whole time. I've been fighting ever since I auditioned. I had.
Gotcha. You did Jolene that week.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the arrangement. Where did you come up with that? How?
I just wanted it that way. And I started really getting into the arrangement aspect of the performances and being like, I want this here and this here. And I really had a vision when I went into rehearsal and everything.
Some people had said, like, oh, it's too much like the White Stripes. I didn't think it was anything. It was actually nothing like that, so I would like to clear that up. I don't think there was any.
Well, if it is like the White Stripes, then it probably sounded good. So.
Right. Nobody really said much in terms, like, there was a little discussion. Harry was like, I hated the arrangement, but I feel like, I tend to feel like guys get more credit for rearranging songs on Idol. I feel like the couple of times, that you and Gina both did, like, radical rearrangements, it was sort of like, well, I didn't like it, but...
It's kind of hit or miss. Like, sometimes they're like, you made it too much your own, and then they're like, you didn't make it enough your own. And you're like, what do I do? Then, so.
You were happy with it, though.
Hey, I was happy the whole time.
Gotcha.
I had a great time.
And what was your thinking behind that? When you, like, did you cook it up? Did you decide on Jolene and then immediately know how you were going to do it?
Yep.
Did you did?
I just knew how I wanted it.
Already in your head. And you'd never played it before
in
that way? Or?
I know the song on guitar.
Right.
And I knew somebody to love. Well, I had to learn somebody to love, but I love that song. I love Jefferson and everything. And I told them I wanted to rock that up too, just modernize it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I have, like, I don't know. I just sit and think for a couple minutes, and I realize what I want, and then I just try my best to convey that message to them.
I started getting annoyed that week because with Somebody to Love, I felt like I knew what the judges were going to say before you even sang a single note, and it was sort of like that whole, you know.
What did they say?
It was like, you know, you need to physically embody the music.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, you had taken their critiques, you moved around, you did some of the stuff that they asked you to do. There were many contestants this season who actually have not moved away from the mic stand once and were never asked to do it. And I wouldn't have minded so much if they were dinging you for that or upset about you for that if they had given the same critiques to male contestants who'd been at the mic stand. Did that bug you too, or?
I try not to let it bother me because I realize it's a game show. It's a game show, and I'm gonna be successful regardless because I'm gonna work my ass off.
Yeah, I guess talking back wouldn't have done you
I just
any
smiled.
favors.
I smiled and waved. Smiled and waved.
Gotcha. Top 5 week summertime sadness.
Yeah.
I heard that you improvised pretty much last minute the
Angelina
leg
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I wasn't even sitting on that side of the box in rehearsal. Just last minute, I was like, I'll sit on the other side of the stage, and Melissa, she helped me with that. And she's like, I think you should do this. I was like, okay, sure.
That, to me, was a song that I wouldn't have expected you to sing, but it made complete sense after you did it. Would that normally be the kind of song that might appear in a set of yours? Or were you trying to do something a little different at that point?
That and Human, I didn't really think of doing. Like, I love Christina Perri. I love that song. And I like Lana Del Rey a lot. I listen to her all the time. But I never thought, oh, I'm going to cover these on American Idol. And I don't know. I've done a lot of random stuff, but, you know, it's always been because I wanted to. And also, I think America picked really good songs.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. I enjoyed doing those. I enjoyed trying to arrange them. I had a little issues with arranging Summertime Sadness because the first arrangement, I was like, this is so bad.
What was it like?
It was crap.
Slower, faster?
It just sounded like it was too old for 2014.
Gotcha.
And I wanted it to be more modern and more my style.
How long was the list of songs you got from America?
Like 6 songs or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there anything else on there that you thought about doing, or were those two the obvious ones?
Those two were the two I just looked right at and I was like, I'm doing that.
Human, to me, felt personal. It felt like you'd sort of been, you know, you had not always had the easiest time up on that stage after you were done performing. It is.
Because I try my best to pick songs that I can personally relate to. Because if you can't convince other people that you click with a song, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe the song, and they won't feel it either. And then you lose your crowd. So I think it's, you know, music to me is a universal language that brings a lot of people together over a lot of different conflicts and stuff. It just makes people forget about all the problems for a while. So I think it's very important to make that connection.
When you hit that I'm only human part, could you feel that emotion bubbling up?
I almost cried.
I thought you might have.
I almost cried. It's just a really powerful song.
And it seems like a hard song.
It is hard.
Vocally.
It's really hard. I was like, oh, these notes. I was backstage doing the stupid crap, trying to warm up, and I never do that. I felt really dumb, but I had to for that song. It was like, to me, that's just a high song, and the way I was projecting it was not normal for me.
You guys got put through an additional ringer on results night.
Speaking of Hunger Games, again, I almost had to pull out Nightlock berries. That was so messed up and unnecessary. I'm just saying, counterproductive to everything.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't understand why at that point in the competition they would even ask you guys to make that choice, because you can't win either way.
Both choices sucked ass. Like, they did. They were horrible.
Yeah. Did you guys want to go to the producers as a quintet on the commercial break and be like, are you people kidding me? Or is it just you just accept that this is...
We didn't, we were just shocked.
Yeah. And
we didn't know what to do. We couldn't really process it. They were like, okay, you have a commercial break. Hurry up and circle your answer. And we're just all looking at each other like, huh?
Wow. We disapprove. Hair blankets, we disapprove. Last week on the show, as you referenced before, you were going to do an original that got scrapped at the last minute. What were you going to sing?
The Hell You Put Me Through.
Okay. Is that on YouTube? Can we find that on there?
It might be on there. I have a lot of YouTube videos. I think it's on there.
Is that a more recent one? Is that one you wrote a while back?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Is that one you hope to maybe sneak into your Idol tour set if you were going to do an original on
I am going to try to sneak in as many originals as I can.
if you get 3 songs, we're going to get 3 originals if you have it your way.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
How tough was it jumping onto So What at the last minute like that?
Well, there's a lot of lyrics, and it's kind of fast. But my only worry was, how am I going to do this on the stage? Because it was completely, I had already had a staging meeting, and I just had to do it all that day on the stage when I got there. And I had to remember the words.
Did I detect a little bit like you might have been singing it a little bit to our esteemed judging panel? A little bit?
Do what?
Like, were you singing it a little bit to the judges?
I was kind of singing it to everyone who just, there's people in your life who they just don't want to support you because they see you doing something that makes you happy.
Right.
And my whole thing is that those kinds of people really push me to do better. And I want to thank them. Like, I really appreciate the haters and the people who sit on their couches and take the time to say, I hate you, I'm glad you're home. And I just want to let them know that they drive me more, and it's really encouraging. And I try to take everything and make it, productive.
Gotcha. You might as well take that energy and use it to fuel something,
exactly.
something positive.
It's kind of like that song, like, you can't bring me down, have fun.
Your other 2 songs that week, of the 2, I thought, since you've been gone, I couldn't figure out why you picked that. Like,
I did the A Day to Remember version, the rock version.
Okay.
And I liked the song. I had fun with it. It was hard to find the key, and I wish I had had more time to practice. But I had fun, so it's okay.
It felt like when you came out with You and I was worried because I was like, has Jess accepted 4th place? Does she just assume she's getting 4th place? And then you came out with You and I, and there was like that extra something behind it.
Yeah.
How did you approach that one?
Well, Lady Gaga has a really soulful voice if you don't listen to the electronic and everything in the background. You just pull her voice out, and you're like, wow, that woman, she really does just, it's really bluesy kind of. And I was like, I could do this song. I really like this song. And it's just the way she sings and the way she did the You and I. And she's just belting it out at the end. I was like, I'm doing that.
Did you feel like as you're singing it, like maybe this might get me to the top 3?
Yeah, I did. I tried to be as positive as I possibly could the entire time. But, like I said, whatever happens is meant to happen that way. So.
Did you feel on results night like you might be going home?
Mm-hmm.
And yet it seemed to hit you really hard.
Because I work really hard, and everything I do, I put in 200% because that's just the person I am. Like, everything I do my absolute best. So it is disappointing to be like, okay, this part is over. But to me, now looking back, that's just a door open. And 4th place is not bad. Like I said, I'm a fighter, and I will get where I need to be.
You seem tough and stoic a lot of the time, but I sense you're a very emotional person at the...
I have a lot of feels inside somewhere.
And I think we saw a lot of that in the final performance.
Yeah. It's very cathartic.
Blue Eyed Lie was not originally going to be your sing-out song?
Nope.
At what point did you say, like, I'm doing Blue Eyed? That day. What were you going to do?
Crow and the Butterfly. Yeah.
And what... Was it just the thought of, if I'm going out, I'm doing an original? Yeah,
because my whole thing is, if I'm going to show who I am, I'm going to always be true to myself. I'm always going to be genuine and real. I'm never going to lie to my fans or pretend to be something I'm not. And I want to be able to relate to everybody. I want to be my artist. Mm-hmm. No matter what anyone says, you need to do this, you need to do that. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And, I want to be more than just the songs I write. I want to be a message to people that you can do whatever you want. The only limits you have are the limits you put on yourself, and that it's worth it to do what you love.
How hard was it to pull together that vocal? I was a little worried when you started. I was like, how is she going to sing? Because you're crying, but you somehow fought through it, and the vocal I thought was actually great. Have you watched that back? Or?
I've seen it 800 times in every interview I've done this whole week. They make sure they play it before my interviews, and I'm always like, now I'm desensitized to it. The first time I was just like. I remember that.
Right.
But I don't know. I think that was the best way I could have possibly gone. And I'm happy that it happened now. Like, I know that I'll be okay. And I know that I'm always going to write, and I know that I'll get where I need to be.
Can I ask you a controversial question?
Sure.
Did you snub J-Lo for the hug?
No.
On stage? You didn't? Okay.
No. I wanted to talk to her.
Okay.
I wanted to hug her and everything, but I hugged her and then she walked away.
Gotcha.
And I was like, okay, bye.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, Keith and Harry talked to me, and I actually have a ton of respect for Harry just because he was saying that the only reason he was so hard on me is because he really believes in my artistry, and he was just really nice about it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go write a CD now.
Would he not make an awesome mentor? I thought
I like Harry.
they should have put him in the mentoring position, I thought.
Yeah, because he's so technical, and he really gets music inside and out. And then I believe, like, Keith, he really has a lot of feeling and soul, and he would be good too. And Jennifer would be a good dance teacher. Like, she should teach me how to dance.
Right.
But I really wish she had talked to me a little more, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to talk to her because I have a lot of respect for all three of them. But, I mean, I'm not going to say, well, I lost a little bit of respect when she just, like, walked away from me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She had other places to be. Last question for you. So you make it to 4th place. That's pretty damn good by any account. What do you do with it now? I mean, we've seen 4th place finishers go on to great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen 4th place finishers sort of fade from the public view. What are you going to do to use this as the next step in your career? And how would you define success for yourself post-show?
Well, success defined as happiness.
Okay.
It's whatever your perception of happiness is. And I'm going to focus on writing some material and collaborating with people. I also want to learn how to work in a studio. I want to build a studio. I just don't know where yet. I can figure that out.
Okay.
I want to do production engineering. I want to learn all the background aspects of it. And I would like to get into a tiny bit of acting, even if I have to be a creeper in the background of something for like 10 seconds. And I'm just like, I totally wouldn't mind. But I want to do everything. Like, I want to do makeup. I want to do, like, clothes. I want to get into everything.
When you talk about building a studio, is that so you can control what you do and control your sound? You seem, and in a positive, I'm saying this as a positive, maybe a little bit of a control freak. Like, you want to be able to execute.
I want to know how to do everything.
You do.
And I want to know, because I think it'll open my mind and my ears to hear more and see more and understand more, and I think that would help me overall as an artist.
It certainly can't hurt you.
Exactly.
We appreciate you coming in today. This was really awesome.
Thank you so much.
I was going to bring you a big bouquet of flowers, and then I was running late for this interview, so I had to skip purchasing them. Those longtime reality check fans know that somebody usually gets them, and I'm going to have to, like, get Jessica's address later and send them to her after the tour is done.
Well, thank you so much.
So, but I really appreciate you coming in today, and we really appreciate watching you this season. You made it very fun. All right, I'm hitting stop broadcast.